So what I wanted to do was make this more of a free-flowing type of video. We're talking about three teams and how they're sort of intertwined with each other, how one team serves as a central hub, I guess, for conversations regarding the other two. But because each of these teams are not playing today, I felt like it was appropriate to go out there and make this video in this way. Essentially, we're talking about Vancouver Canucks captain Bo Horvat, we're talking about San Jose Sharks star winger Timo Meier, and we're going over how the New Jersey Devils have links, or have had links, I guess you could say, to both of them. We're giving a slight update as to how these Devils conversations have been going along, as well as to other parts of the conversations that are sort of relevant in these discussions too. So, let's head over to what Elliotte Friedman said the other day regarding this New Jersey Devils thing, because if you go over to the Devils, they've been a pretty good team this year, and as a result, you have yourselves a bunch of conversations that have sprouted up the past little while as to players that the Devils have been targeting, or that could target, that happen to be really good players, like some of the best players that are on the market in this year's trade landscape. We've honestly seen the Devils and the Canucks linked in more ways than one, not only with Bo, but we had talked about as well in the past Brock Besser, we had talked about Connor Garland and how the Devils appeared to have been interested in either of these names at different points of the year. But Bo, being the guy that he is, a goal-scoring, two-way center that has captaincy leadership material on his name, and who is probably going to be signed to a contract that's a little bit too expensive for next year and beyond. With the Devils being as good as they are, there's an idea floating around there saying that if they wanted to go for somewhat of a rental, it wouldn't be too far-fetched to bring up. Plus the fact that you could re-sign Horvat in theory, it's just he would probably be a bit too expensive. This is where we go over to what Friedman said. This is what he said on the 32 Thoughts podcast the other day. I think Timo Meier is more likely the Devils' target, though, than Horvat, but I do think they've kind of been around it. This is where we introduce the other topic, Timo Meier and the San Jose Sharks, because when it comes to this idea, we had already brought this up in a video before, talking about the idea of the Sharks acquiring a guy like Alexander Holtz, for example, in exchange for Timo Meier, whom other teams have also been targeting too. Meier is also an expiring contract. Unlike Bo, though, Meier is an RFA, whereas Bo is a UFA. Although, when it comes to their impacts on the ice, you could very well debate that Meier is somewhat of a better player than Bo is. It's just that Bo scores a lot more freaking goals nowadays. But for Timo Meier, this is a guy who will also cost a pretty penny. But there is a little bit more security with the contract negotiation process that will start up after that contract expires. And you also have a San Jose team that we already discussed some potential trade ideas with. We talked about the idea of the Sharks getting a guy like Alexander Holtz because they already have Holtz's best friend in their organization in William Eklund. But part of the reason I feel this has sort of come up in the way that it has is because when it comes to Bo versus Timo, one is a lot more quote-unquote accessible in a trade than the other. And surprise, surprise, the one that seems that way is Timo Meier. The reason for this is because if you go over to the comments that he made, not only did he say that it's more likely that he gets traded, but he also said that now he's got the ability to speak to other teams when it comes to contract extensions, something that Bo Horvat has not been permitted to do by the Vancouver Canucks. The Canucks have been very adamant in keeping their guy and not allowing him those contract extension conversations because, via Rick Dollywall on today's segment of Donnie and Dolly, the Canucks feel like allowing other teams to do that limits the Canucks' own leverage in trade conversations. Other teams might say, okay, well, why would we give you all the stuff that you want when we know that you want to trade this guy away so much to the point that you're allowing us to talk about an extension with him? Because there's that added element, there is seemingly an extra layer of leverage that the Canucks could be sacrificing, and the Canucks don't want to do that. However, when it comes to the Horvat talks, we did indeed have ourselves the price that was apparently revealed. We can talk about that in another video, but at this time, when it comes to Bo, the more intriguing part to me is more so how he's going to play over the next little while. We have Rick Tocchet who has come in here to Vancouver, and by the way, this is why I said this is going to be more of a free-flowing video, because I just kind of wanted to get my thoughts out there on a whole bunch of things. But Bo Horvat is now playing on a line with Jack Studnicka and Brock Besser. It's labeled here as the first line as the Canucks practiced earlier today, and it's going to be Rick Tocchet doing his thing, so we'll see whether or not Tocchet and his more hard-nosed style of coaching is going to affect a lot of these players. Cough, cough, the one that I think is going to be most benefiting from this is JT Miller, but Heading back over to the main topic at hand here, when it comes to New Jersey and their unwillingness to go after a guy like Bo, this makes a lot more sense to me as well. I'm pretty sure we had talked about this in a prior video, but I don't really see the Devils being a team that needs another center per se, with Hughes and Hischier already locked down in the ways that they are. There really is more of a desire, I feel, for the wing, and really expanding on what a guy like Alexander Holtz could return for. If you trade away a guy like Holtz, you're trading away future prosperity on that wing, and so if you get a guy on the wing coming back, it makes more sense to me than if you tried to go for a center like Bo, for example. Timo Meier fits the bill, and Timo Meier has been very popular amongst all these other teams that have been sort of looking for a star forward to get them 30-plus goals a year, plus that security with the RFA negotiating process, because all you gotta do is qualify him, retain his rights, and continue on your way. Furthermore, when it comes to the New Jersey link specifically, just wanted to throw this out there, Timo Meier's agent, it's Claude Lemieux, so there you go. But of course, the other parts that we'd have to discuss here regarding the trade, it wouldn't be something like Timo Meier for Alexander Holtz 1-for-1. I don't really think the value aligns there. Sure, if Alexander Holtz becomes what Timo Meier is right now, that wouldn't be too unrealistic and it would therefore justifyingly balance the trade, but for what Holtz is right now, which is not that, you need to add a tad more, I feel, if you're the New Jersey Devils trying to pry away that Timo from San Jose. Whether or not it's another prospect, like a guy, let's say maybe Seamus Casey, for example. Let's say another one of the deep prospects that the Devils have, that in which come in a pretty good abundance right now. Let's say there's another player like Andreas Johnsson, for example, going the other way. I feel like he's young enough that the Sharks could justifiably take on that contract and use him on their team, but of course, you know, they could lean to go a bit younger should they please to do so. And then you have the guys whom the Devils are not going to touch in the slightest. You're not trading away Simon Nemec, you're not trading away Luke Hughes. That would be kind of disastrous if you did that. And so, honestly, I feel like more so the package of, let's say, Alexander Holtz plus maybe either another pick or another prospect for Timo Meier, maybe add on a roster player if you want from New Jersey as well. That kind of gets it done, but of course, you have to look at the other offers from all the other teams because there's such a big bidding war going on for this guy. You kind of have to one-up them all in one swift motion here. But Elliotte Friedman did also say on that same episode that other Eastern Conference teams are feeling that the Devils will be making a big splash. And so, if Timo Meier happens to be that guy and it's not Bo Horvat, that would make a lot more sense to me, but of course we have to wait and see until that all manifests itself. Of course, we're going to make more videos going over the updates and the trade rumors, etc., because now that the trade deadline is coming around, and now that January is almost over, this is a pretty good time to be a YouTuber, because the views are coming a little bit higher, the ad rates are coming back up, my voice hopefully is going to be recovering as the week goes along, and more rumors are becoming more prevalent in the spotlight. So talk to the comments your thoughts about the Devils being more interested in Meier than a guy like Horvat. What are your opinions about the ideas we had talked about here, whether or not it's a guy like Holtz or a guy like Andreas Johnsson or maybe some other prospect getting involved in a trade? What are your thoughts on Bo Horvat not being a New Jersey Devils target? And if you're a Canucks fan who is watching this video, what are your thoughts on Horvat and Rick Tocchet, how that relationship might be heading into the next few days and what that could mean for Horvat trade conversations as well? Thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Juraj, and bye.